Okay, everyone sit back. Cody Rhodes.
Boy.
Cody Rhodes came out with the TNT title. I am not kidding. I tweeted this. I've got 300 words here, okay? Recapping this. So Cody, during the break, takes a ladder out from underneath the ring and sets it up. And we come back, and he asks, what does everybody want to talk about? If your answer was every subject imaginable, he was going to give it to you. First, he makes reference to the pipe bomb, one of the most important speeches that influenced thousands of wrestlers and mobilized millions of fans. It started the revolution. And someone told me once to save this promo, but I'm going to give it to you now. Punk listed all of these things that were taboo at the time, such as going to New Japan and Ring of Honor, and he eventually ended up here. And it's not just the comeback of the year, as Pro Wrestling Illustrated named it, it's the comeback of the decade. The crowd was chanting, Cody sucks. He said that in the void that Punk left, someone did all of the things that he said he would and carried the revolution. It was me. And you wonder why I won't turn heel? It's because you fans cheered me when I needed it the most. When I say that there is more than one royal family in wrestling, I was referring to you, the fans, the unspoken royal family of wrestling. Then he... Okay, let's
I'm sorry.
Intermission.
There's
intermission.
too much. There's too much here. We're going to
digest.
Break down.
Take this all in, way. So Punk laid out the pipe bomb, and all of what he wanted to do, Cody took that ball and ran with it and did all of these things that were taboo.
I think that's fair. I actually kind of like it. He's right. Like, he is the person to have actually left the WWE and really, I think, came in with that banner and really changed a lot of people's minds. I think it's right. I think it's great material. If he was involved in a program with CM Punk.
Oh, didn't he challenge him?
He challenged 50 people in this promo, okay? So I can't exactly tell you what the direction is other than
he also previewed some programs that he has nothing to do with as well.
He might be laying the roadmap for, I don't know, his next 50 years in this industry, I suppose. But
well, the roads map was very lengthy here.
Yeah. So, I mean, great material. Why? Like, why right now? You know, and we're only getting started. Okay, let's also talk about his justification for why he didn't turn heel. Because you guys cheered me
when I needed it the most. Now when these fans boo him, he doesn't need your cheers. He's got enough of it. He's got his power meter is full. So you can't detract from his babyfacedom.
He is saying, I'm not going to turn on you because you were there for me when I needed you. So I remember all the good times we had, so I'm not going to turn my back on you.
It's like the lyrics to the Friends theme.
That sounds like a stalker to me, okay? I want to break up with you. Yeah, we had great times. We had a great relationship, but I'm done. I want to move on. And you refuse to let go of this thing? That's obsessive. And it's weird justification, and it's also, I think, oddly placed in the body of this promo. Please continue.
Listen, part of the Cody character, if you want to call it that, is that this man goes out and he is not doing wrestling promos. The man's an orator. He is coming out to just speak.
Clearly, yes.
And he is going to give, like, the state of Cody is going to be like the subject. So he goes on and brings up, this is where I knew it was hooking in way, the forbidden door. The forbidden doorway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's that term is it is careening into like a level of just like I can't hear this anymore.
I mean, I was at that point in November. I mean, probably earlier than that. So
he explains, if you are an industry journalist and you disagree with anything I say, then you are not a journalist. Check the receipts. I'm the one that built the forbidden door. He's got the receipts from Home Hardware. The crowd is now chanting Cody. He does have the crowd here. And he is gone for 2 weeks. And the Young Bucks almost restarted the Wednesday Night Wars again. And he knows that Red Dragon graduated hip toss class but he doesn't need to see the Bucks beat the developmental group again. I actually hated this line.
Okay, so I mean, a lot of criticism was thrown on Cody. And you take this for what you will, because anytime like Cody says something, anytime it's a WWE versus AEW thing, you're going to get people blindly loyal to one side. But there is criticism for Cody in his promos continuing to reference the WWE, for AEW promos in general continuing to reference the WWE.
But this isn't even like reference. This is now referencing your contracted guys.
Right. Was it necessary for this? And was it necessary to bring up Red Dragon when you have no plans of working a program with Red Dragon?
Nor are they even at the like point where they're going in the Young Bucks Red Dragon. Like that's a long story that they're fleshing out week by week. They are not at the point yet where they're ready to do that match. And here he is like shitting on this match, like, which is the destination of where this is going. Like me, the viewer, it's like, this guy's just dumping on like, this is not like two world-class tag teams. It's our big tag team taking on the developmental guys from the other company. Like it to me, unless Red Dragon is laying out Cody next week in this ladder match, which I will reserve judgment for. But if this goes unchecked and Red Dragon has nothing to do with Cody on TV, much like Cody has had nothing to do with the Bucks for months, if not years now.
Don't worry, it'll be Red Dragon coming out, followed by CM Punk, followed by Malachi Black, all getting their shots in.
Like to me, it was like such an unnecessary, just like dumping on like Fish and O'Reilly. They're like, why?
I think
it's a totally separate story. It's like it might as well be a separate universe in AEW than the one that Cody occupies.
We've seen this from the beginning with Cody, though. I mean, remember he came out with the throne. It's like part of the character is, hey, my story is I came from the WWE. Now I am, the leader of the alternative. I am the person who created the alternative. Is maybe part of the MO of the character, and this just felt to me like sort of like another thing to be able to say, hey, we beat NXT. Here are a couple guys from NXT to remind you that I don't know.
It's like they're your guys now. They're your company's guys now that you are paying and promoting and utilizing for like a big program with the Bucks coming up.
Yeah. I don't obviously if you're Cody, I don't think you're intending on burying anybody. I think maybe it was his way of like putting some heat behind the Bucks versus Red Dragon feud, I suppose, even though the program itself is not ready to necessarily get to this literal, verbalization of the feud yet. But I think in effect, in execution, it definitely did bury them.
He's speaking on behalf of like this fan base, and he's saying, I have no interest in seeing this match and this involvement, nor should you.
Mm-hmm. We're not even a third, like 2/3 through.
No, chapter 4 was Lee Johnson. And he has advice for Lee Johnson that avoid the lethal injection because that's the one cutter that no one kicks out of in this business. So avoid.
Great. Okay, so the opposite of what he said about Red Dragon. So he buried the NXT guys, but he's putting over the ROH guy, who has a very devastating finisher.
Didn't go to a hip toss class.
Yeah, it's great.
I will say this: this statement alone, like it makes the lethal injection feel like this is a huge finisher.
It does.
So I'll take it.
But why here? Why in the context of this promo?
I can't give you all those complaints about Red Dragon and then come back and destroy this point.
No, you can, John.
Something up.
The criticism.
Wait,
remains.
This whole thing's disjointed. That's from start to finish.
That is the criticism. Why did he mention these things, and why did he follow that one thing with this other thing that has very little connection? What is the overall point of this?
Because this promo was like the lethal injection for most on the show.
Please continue.
He moves on to Malachi Black, who has beaten him several times, and now he is partnered with Brody King. And I know we don't like to rename people like Gunther McGillibuddy, which I mean is time.
He said gutter, but sure, yeah, the point remains. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's what I think he was going for Gunther. So at least timely. But if you come to AEW as Brody, you've got balls. And I think like referred like Brody Jr.'s coming in like 8 years to face him.
Yeah, he's saying basically Brody King has a lot of balls to come in with his name when there was already a Brody, and there is currently a Brody signed to AEW who will be here at some point, probably within 8 years, is what he's saying.
Okay. And then goes over the past TNT champions, and fans have been taught that any title without the word world in it is somehow secondary. There are no secondary belts in AEW. The only secondary aspect is that we have 2 belts, and it's clear what we have to do. And he looks to the ladder. Tony Khan has mailed out a contract, but maybe it's not the contract I want. Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whole place went nuts. They had to evacuate the arena. There was so much heat. This line.
Yeah, so this was the allusion to the whole contract thing that played itself out on the internet over the past week. So if you're looking for it, this is where you got it. MJ in the chat room, I do want to point this out because MJ in the chat room seems to think that the whole thing was. So I'm gonna read MJ what you said, okay? MJ, wasn't he criticizing them? He was name dropping reasons he isn't getting the contract he wants from TK and saying the alternative is now just the other thing. Isn't the whole thing with Cody that he hasn't signed yet, and he is airing his grievances? The point is he is not signed and may not sign, so he is saying everything now while he can.
Okay, hold up. That is not public knowledge in this promo. You have not introduced that in any respect in this show. You are not building an angle where you are just assuming that this fan base, that these million people watching this show are aware of that fact.
So to be fair,
you're assuming way too much. And if that was the case, you need to make that a lot clearer in this promo.
Okay, to play devil's advocate, the pipe bomb, when it actually occurred, I mean, CM Punk was in a very similar situation. Did they make that clear?
Yes, he said
prior to the pipe bomb.
They explained that his contract is up.
Did they say that actually before the actual promo, or was it just a storyline after the fact? After he cut it before the Cena match?
I believe it was part of the promo, was it not?
That I don't remember. But
I'm winning the title and I'm out of here.
I do think it's fine, like, when there's something that is such big news on the internet that, like, you know, you can play off of like this. But number one, I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I don't think anybody buys into it, first of all, for in this scenario. And secondly, what were the grievances here? Like, what was he actually airing out in terms of grievances? He put over Jay Lethal. Like, what does...
He's mad the Red Dragon's here. And that Brody King didn't change his name.
Those are the pipe bomb grievances?
He's ready to walk. He's starting to walk over this.
Yeah, yeah, okay. If you can see it that way, great. Awesome. I mean, clearly, like, for you and I, it did not connect. Was there anything more we have to bring up here?
Set up the ladder match for Beach Break next week. Winner gets the title.
So
we set up a ladder match at the end of this.
I'm sorry, I did not like this. When you start by saying, somebody told me to save this promo, but I'm going to do it now, you're setting expectations really high. And I think coming out of this, what I'm realizing is they probably told you to save the promo because they didn't think anybody should have ever said it on TV. You should have deleted it. It felt a lot like the Ogogo promo, where it just feels like the type of promo that probably sounded a lot better in Cody's mind than in practice. You know, every time he comes out here and like teases something big, sometimes he hits it out of the park. You know, the man has great delivery, but other times I think he
overthinks it. Like, I think the guy's a very smart individual, but I think he puts way too much thought into some of this stuff that sometimes your fan is not the guy that's living on the internet 24/7 and is getting all these veiled references. Sometimes you've got to lead people by the hand a little bit. And I think that in his mind, he understands.
He needs an editor.
He needs an editor, and he needs someone maybe that has not grown up in the wrestling industry as he has for his entire life and is looking at it from a certain perspective. That I just think like there's a disconnect. And this to me, and I've been more positive on the Cody stuff than most, but this to me was like a major disconnect from the audience, like not even reacting to that contract line when it was mentioned, nor is that at all like if your conclusion at this is the premise that this guy is disgruntled and that's why he's not signed a contract, this makes no sense. And I don't think your audience is like, you are giving way too much credit that your audience would be in sync with that.
I definitely open up the floor in our comment sections across YouTube, across, our forum or our Twitter, for everybody to give their own interpretation of this promo, because I don't doubt that there are people that actually really enjoyed this. There's certainly a disconnect between the two of us, and we're only two viewers with two, like we have a base. Of course, we could broadcast our thoughts, but we're only two out of the many people that can listen to this. But for me personally, I had some very clear problems with it. And the chief of them is the fact that ultimately this promo was meant to promote a ladder match with Sammy Guevara. And he did not talk about Sammy Guevara nor the championship until like the final 2-3 sentences of this entire, what felt like 10-minute promo. To me, Sammy Guevara is meaningless in this entire thing. The title is meaningless in this entire thing. What did you come out and spend your time doing? And we contrast this with the great work that Punk and MJF are doing, talking about each other, constantly heating up the rivalry between each other. Sammy Guevara, to me, was a complete afterthought after this.